Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Renee Mehrra, and today I'd like you all to meet a very special person. He's a chief brand evangelist at Google, Gopi Kallayil, an inspirational public speaker and a great author and a yoga practitioner. And there's so much to talk to him about. And he is an amazing, versatile singer. So this person is multifaceted, and it's great to have him today on TV Asia and social media. Gopi, welcome to Renee Report. And, I don't think this show is enough to talk to you about because there's so much that you have brought out in your books, in your TED Talks, the wisdom, the wit, the humor, it's so pulsatingly real. It brings you back to the ancient wisdom of our sages and seers, why we live in today's materialistic world. So I think you're like a great bridge, connecting the values and redefining what human development really is. So thank you for joining us today from your very busy schedule. So tell us, I know that you
Thank you, Renee. Namaste and greetings to all of you viewers. Delighted and honored to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you, Gopi. Gopi, you have a background in electrical engineering and business administration, and you've led many information technology projects for many global organizations in India, in China, United States. So, and you're a world traveler. So tell us, before you joined Google, you were with some two Silicon Valley startups as well. What was your pivot point? You talk about it in The Happy Human, and you also talk about it in The Internet to the Internet. So from the outside technology, being so tech savvy, you decided to go into the inner technology, which really defines our quality of life. So what was that pivot point that got you to that space?
Sure, yeah. So Renee, when my friends here ask me, I always joke with them saying, I think I won the ovarian lottery, that we don't get to choose where you're born. And as my luck, my karma would have it, I was born in India, into the Indian culture, to Indian parents. So early on I was exposed to this, but I didn't have a context about many of the things that stem from Indian culture or philosophy. But very early on in my teen years, just out of high school, I met my spiritual teacher, my guru, or it's a woman, her name is Rama Devi, and she initiated me into a meditation path, or even gave me the first inklings of the fact that there is an inner life, a rich inner life that needs to be explored. And often in the Indian tradition, they say, you don't find your guru, the guru finds you. And in that sense, and somehow she found me, or my path led to her, and I had meditation instruction long before it had become cool and fashionable the way it is now, with everyone meditating or talking about mindfulness, etc. In the same way, early on, long before yoga meaning asana practice, had become so popular as it is now all over the world, with International Day of Yoga coming up June 21st. So long before that, I got drawn to it, and I went to a traditional setting. And you remember back then it was only taught by bearded men in orange primarily. And in a traditional ashram setting, I learned that. So it was sort of in there, but I didn't do much with it. It lay dormant for many years till I got to a point when I realized that there is a rich inner world that can be explored that actually makes you so much more happier, so much more effective. And it's been a journey since then. And what has also helped me since then, there's now so much of scientific research available and all of these ancient wisdom traditions coming out of the East. And it's backed by neuroscientists looking into our brains and confirming that they have enormous physical, mental, emotional, physiological benefits.
Wow. So when your book, from the internet to the internet, it's so much actually more relevant now, especially when you're going through COVID-19, because people are gravitating more towards a culture of connectivity, even though there's social distancing, but there is that connection that has come whatever caste, creed you are, whatever nationality, there is that coming together to beat this virus. And I think we're moving more towards compassion and sharing and giving. So this virus that's can be only seen through a microscope has taught us such profound lessons of life. Do you feel that in a way it's kind of we can bring that positivity out of this whole despair that we've gone through and we're going through now is still?
Absolutely, yeah. It is a situation that has forced us to pause and reflect, to pause and reflect. And two things I think I would encourage everyone to reflect on. One is a quote I saw that come through a post someone made to me. And the quote said, when you can't go outside, go inside. When you can't go outside, go inside. And this is a real good opportunity when we are quarantining, and depending on the city you live in, you may not even be able to venture out much. It is an opportunity to stay back. We're not traveling, we're not commuting, our social engagements are off the calendar. If you're working, we're working from home. So it is an opportunity to go inward and reflect a little bit. The second thing that you mentioned is that it is true human beings thrive on social connections, but a lot of our regular social connections are off the table at this point. And so it is a moment for us to realize that the most important social relationship we will have is the one with ourselves. The most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. Because this is one friend who will stay with you for the rest of your life till the day you die. So you might as well get to know this friend a lot better. So from both those perspectives, this pandemic has caused us to, forced us to pause, reflect, and find a new connection with ourselves, or as I call it in the book, our inner net.
I think it helps us to know our higher purpose in life. And, like we're so consumed in the materialistic world, in so-called corporate greed. I mean, that's what it is many times. But though Google's mission statement is that we can make money without being evil. So I think that's a great mission statement over there. Very often we do get.
Oh, just corrected their mission statement, what Larry Page and Sergey Brin wrote down were just 10 elegant words, and that has continued to guide the company even now. So the mission statement is organize the world's information, make it universally accessible and useful. 10 words. Make it, organize the world's information, make it universally accessible and useful. And in those 10 words, they really capture the essence of what they had set out to do. And it continues to guide the company.
So a lot of people who work in, high technology, state of the art, artificially intelligent world, they get burnt out. And it's pretty natural many times because, working 24/7, like almost like a machine in the artificially intelligent environment. And there is this time when you say, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. You need a breather. And you did talk about it, get into that contemplative, quiet space that we can find in ourselves, like you said, for yourself.
True.
We forget, we just keep knowing others. We need to know more about the world, but what about the inner journey? We never take that. So what message would you give to all the techies out there who do get burnt out somewhere, sometime, in some part of their lifetime because of the way they're consumed in the artificially intelligent world? And you do talk about it in The Happy Human.
Correct, yeah. And I'll just have to unlock. For some reason, the screen has freeze up or go into lock mode, so let me just. Thank you. You're back there again. So Renee, yeah, that's a really great question, and I'll tell you what is the advice that I would give to people. And it's not just people in the tech world, across all industries. In general, it's a curse of modern life that especially if you're in a corporate setting, but even in most of the settings, we are working long hours, so very hard, and we're always connected. There's so many pressures on us. But in the midst of all of this, there's a simple fact that we have to understand. And the simple fact is that this is the most important asset every person has: our body, our brain, our mind, our consciousness. Why is it this the most important asset? More than any amount of financial assets or other things you may own or possess. Everything we experience in life has to go through this filter. From the food you eat to the music you listen to, the book you read, has to be processed by this filter as some sort of a sensory input. A very simple argument. And the second is all of our self-expression. You, me, everyone else listening to the show want to show up in life and have an impact, make a difference. And all of that has to come from this inner technology, this combination of our mind, body, ideas. So whether it's the next great musical composition or the next business plan you write or a meal you cook or a piece of furniture you make with your hands, all of that output that you see around us, human created output, whether it's a plane or a company or a restaurant, has come from the collective effort of a few individuals from using this asset. So therefore, the most important responsibility we have is to take care of this asset and put it into a state of peak performance. Because if we do that, if we are responsible for this asset, move into a state of peak performance, you experience life at a peak state, you express yourself at a peak state. Okay? Experience and expression. And by overworking and getting stressed and breaking yourself down at this level is not going to help you do that. In fact, it is going to make it worse. So you have to take care of this asset. And how do you do it? And there's an elegant formula my health coach, Anita at the South Asian Heart Center taught me. And her message, every call she ends with, Gopi, take your meds every day. Take your meds every day. Meds being the short form acronym that the healthcare profession uses for medication. But I'm not talking of little capsules in a white pill box. Med stands for meditation, exercise, diet, as in nutrition, and sleep. Meditation, diet, exercise, and sleep. And if you follow those four pillars and incorporate into your life, then that gives you some tools by which you can respond to the kind of situations that is emerging that you're talking about.
So when you talk about meds, the meds that we're talking about are different meds from the other meds that we talk about: meditation, exercise, diet, sleep. Many times we're sleep deprived, and that's what happens when you get burnt out. Many times people don't know for the inner journey. Diet becomes very important. Exercise becomes very important. So does that hone in your inner technology? It cultivates a different skill set that helps you to navigate your inner pilot very well, and your inner core. You're in tune with the inner core and the inner and outer rhythms of life.
Yeah, absolutely. You fit it in, you make it work, and that you show up in a different way. So just as a practical example, just before this interview recording started, 1 o'clock our time, noon my time, I was in a group meditation session done over online video. And these were a group of colleagues from work. Every noon, they get together and meditate or video conference. You don't need to be on video, but it provides the sangha, even in the current circumstances. At 5 p.m. today, I will do the E part, the exercise. There is this 90 minutes Ashtanga yoga class that one of my colleagues leads, and there'll be 20, 30 people. We join through video. My friend Arnold leads, and we all practice together. And I teach also. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., it's my turn to teach. So that brings the E part. And right before this call took, I had a quick lunch, and I made it myself, and it's all plant-based food. I don't eat processed food by and large. So again, the nutrition part of it is to make sure that, as much as possible consciously, I eat something that grew on a plant, tree, or shrub, not made in a plant, meaning it didn't come out of a factory, it came direct from nature, and I try to eat it as close to its natural state as possible, so that the nutrients, it's still nutrient dense and is intact in terms of its core nourishment properties. So those are like three elements of that formula that I did fit in. And then come to the sleep part. And I'm guilty, that's one area where I compromise, and every day is a struggle to make sure I have the sleep hygiene But I know tomorrow there's 7:30. I have a big business presentation to a group of C-levels, and therefore, to be in fully present and energetic, I better get a good night's sleep. So I've actually set an alarm for tonight, not to wake me up, but to remind me to go to sleep by a certain time so that I get that rest. And I know it'll make a huge difference to how I show up tomorrow.
Wow. So basically, your inner technology is so well defined in you and so well cultivated that you're able to be the chief brand evangelist at Google and able to convince others, because I think everything comes from within out, from inside to it, like inner peace brings outer peace. So inner technology brings outer success. And I think, does that make you a happy human?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there are many things. I explored this topic in my second book, The Happy Human, and definitely one of the things that you do have some degree of control is by changing your physical, mental, spirit energy, by by pulling these levers that we have some access to. So following the metformin on a regular basis does make me more alive, more energized. I experience life in a richer way, whether it's a conversation or food I eat, and therefore that is definitely one of the pathways to happiness. There are many more, but that's definitely something I explored, and I can confirm through personal experience it does lead to more happiness.
And you're also a master of innovation, and you believe a lot in freedom of expression through music. You have this Kirtan Lounge, and you promised you're going to sing a bhajan for me. You have a harmonium right there. I think that's very therapeutic. I think when you express through music or through any art, it gives you that feeling of your soul is nourished and nurtured. So let's hear it from you, Gopi, and what bhajan are you going to be singing for us?
Yeah. So on that element of music, I'll say this, Renee. I'm not trained formally in music. I grew up listening to music. I enjoy music, but it's always someone else, these talented artists who sing. But after I arrived here at work at Google, I noticed that a lot of my colleagues were very creative outside of the work, and they had other passions, music in particular. And I think it appeals to people with a technology mind, and because music is a very mathematical, precise kind of language. It is a language, and it can be as precise and elegant as Java or C++
Yes.
programming. So as an adult, I said, I'm going to try and learn this. And what inspired me was a sign that a music teacher had put up where the sign said, if you can speak, you can sing. And her idea was that it's like developing a muscle. If there is a voice that can come out of your throat, that voice can be coaxed into a musical arrangement or with some sort of a sense of music. So I started taking lessons, and one thing led to another. And in the beginning, you said, thank you for your kind compliment. By no stretch of the imagination, I ever consider myself a professional, accomplished musician. I'm still at a beginner, amateur stage, but surrounded by a group of friends who are very musically talented. Some of the collective work of Kirtan Lounge has done pretty well, including in 2018. It was on the Grammy ballot for the world music category, and that was humbling and unbelievable. So, and magic happens, and I continue to explore the genre. But as you correctly said, there's something about music that is universal. Every culture has music in their own ways. And what is amazing is that almost any music you hear in one part of the world is easily transportable to another part of the world. You don't have to know the language. And the minute you hear salsa, or reggae, or reggaeton, or European chamber music, or Indian classical, whether you know the context or the language, universally we seem to respond to it well. So there is that quality in music that is pretty remarkable, and this is what I'm really exploring and trying to understand. And for some reason, this Indian genre of kirtan, called response singing, appealed to me. And I first heard, of course, sounds like, but Burning Man, believe it or not, there was a group of at a place called the Krishna Camp. They were singing, and I was drawn to the music and the way they were singing. that particular style, even though I'd heard a lot of traditional sacred music in India. So I started following it along, and out of that experiment has come many other things. So I'll try singing since you insisted just one verse from a song I learned recently. I heard Krishna Das sing it once, and I really liked him and his daughter Janaki sing it. It's called Mere Gurudev. Here we go. Sharon Sumanaswada जो है वही तुझको समर्पित है तेरे चरणों पर सुमन श्रद्धा अर्पित है।
Wow.
That's a simple melody. In reality, the tracks on the album are much more involved, but it's a whole ensemble. We have a saxophone player and a bass player and a sarod player. Ayan Ali Khan, Amjad Ali Khan's son, played, and violin and tabla. So that sound gets so much more amplified. But this is like a simple melody I enjoy playing at home every now and then. Like you said, it is a form of expression that is also meditative and very relaxing.
When do you have the time with all your traveling, your yoga and your music and your meds? How do you find that time to create this kind of innovative pieces?
Oh, it's very simple. There are 24 hours in a day, 24 hours, right? So I use that to fit whatever I can. And
Time management.
What is that? It's
time management.
Yeah, or energy management. And if you have
Yes.
good energy during the time, that's more. Time is a fixed commodity. Everyone gets 24. It's the most egalitarian thing in the world. You could be a head of state, or you could be a middle school student. We get 24 hours. So it's a question of making a choice. What do you do in the 24 hours? So I fit some things in that I can, and I let go a lot. So there are choices you make in this. Like I don't consume traditional media at all, broadcast media. I just, or even streaming media, other than watching a few things on YouTube. That it changes the time mix. So I'm very conscious about what I do, and you've got to be ruthlessly focused. And doing one thing at a time seems to help, and have a clear idea each day what I want to get done. Having said that, it's not all perfect, Renee. Some days you feel like you barely got through 6 things, and there are 16 more things to be done. So we all go through those things. But it's essentially ruthless prioritization. And long ago, I established, after spending some time in a monastery, I came up with 5 highest priorities in my life. And I focus on those 5 for the most part. Say yes to things that serve those 5, and say no to most of the things that distract me from those 5.
So what are those 5 things, like focusing on those essential things?
Well, my 5 essentials are, first is spirituality, as in a daily exploration of who I am and my relationship to myself. The second is health. By health, I mean not just physical health. That's what most people associate with health. But for me, it is physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and financial health, because money is also a dimension of life. So managing those 5 dimensions of health. The third is not necessarily in the order, but the third of those 5 are family. By family, I mean family and close friends, not necessarily blood family. So I think of about 100 people who, if I draw a circle around me, say these are the 100 closest people to me on the planet. and make sure I invest time in relationships with them and regular contact and supporting them and living my life with them in some form. The fourth is, instead of work, I call it professional passion, or your form of professional self-expression. For you, it is being like an anchor and being a social activist. For me, it is sitting at the intersection of business and technology for greater good. How can I use business and technology for greater good? And hence the 20 plus years career in Silicon Valley. And the fifth is personal passions. These are things you do because you love it, these things. And it's not for a career or earning a living. These are just things you love doing. And within that, I would put yoga as one, public speaking as another one of those passions, global travel is another personal passion, music of certain genres like the kirtan genre. It's all forms part of the personal passion. So those are my 5 priorities. And
that's great. I think that'll be a great message to our millennials. And you talked about energy management. I think that's very, very important, more than just time management. Focusing energy where you think will bring more positivity. So, as I said, we could have gone on with you forever. There's so much to learn from you, to talk to you, inspiring, empowering, and keep doing this great work. Gopi Kallayil, Chief Brand Evangelist at Google, yoga practitioner, amazing bhajan singer, inspirational speaker, TED Talks, what have you, everything. He's got a YouTube channel, Change Makers, and an author of The Happy Human, as well as the Internet to the Internet. Thank you so much, Gopi Kallayil, for your time today, and we expect a lot coming up from books-wise and even more kirtans. So we'll be in touch with you, and I'm Dr. Renee Mehrra. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Pleasure meeting you. Thank you for having me on the show. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.